Hello and welcome to Sharon Massachusetts. I have collection of different pictures and images of Sharon, and I'm going to just throw them in with no order, and I make very brief narration. So this is part 4. Um, right in the first picture, that's Depot Street. It is image of Depot Street at the railroad crossing in 1920s, so over 100 years ago. You can see the gatehouse as well as the gates. So that's the bottom of Depot Street on the left side. On the right side, it will be Upland Street. So the crossing is long gone, and we have a overpass now. Unfortunately, in the 1930s, there was a very serious accident where 3 high school students died. That's when they decided that we really need overpass that we have now. So the building on the left is long gone. The building on the right side, a smaller one, that's the gatehouse, and the one behind it is the original train station, which was southbound. Eventually, it was moved to the left, and 1935-36, we basically had 2 for that 1 year. So this is image from over 110 years ago. This house was actually moved to this location. So right now it is on 32 Station Street, and it was originally the Petty's and Colburn store, which was at the post office square, the current Sharon Market. However, in that period, about 100 years ago, this building at Station Street was called the Lady Grey Tea Room, and it was operated by Mrs. Hadley Matthews. By the way, this is private residence now, so please respect it. Many of you may recognize this building. This is Wilbur School apartment. However, originally this was a grammar school and then high school. So it is located on South Main Street and Chestnut Street, right on the corner. Originally, the left side, the square building, was grammar school, and it was named after Charles R. Wilbur, who was a young soldier killed in the war, First World War, and basically was the only person from Sharon who was killed during that war. The second section on the right side, the Sharon High School, was constructed later. It opened in 1929 and was dedicated in 1930. It was open for close to 30 years, and the last graduating class was 1957. Then it remained open as Sharon Junior High School and later Intermediate School, and closed in 1981. Then the middle school was built, and this location actually was sitting for a while because there were some issues, and eventually the town of Sharon decided to lease it, and it is Wilbur School Apartments now. It opened in 2010, and I believe there are 75 apartments. So this is a Sharon fire ladder. The photograph was taken at some point before 1964 because that's when the building behind it, the original town hall, was demolished. I made another video of different fire engine and apparatus used in Sharon, which was created by a great-granddaughter of the man that stands right in the middle. The man in the middle is Walter B. Rauch Sr., who was the chief of Sharon Fire Department for many years. So this property was on North Main and Canton Streets, right on the corner there of the pond. Imagine the dam was on the left side. So there was a sawmill that was continuously operated for many years, basically since 1886, when brothers Isa and Ara Billings built the dam and flooded the orchard that was there. Then they erected watermill, and they had grist mill, sawmill, different uses. I made a video, you can find it on the channel. And in 1937, Arthur Rhodes of Bellingham, we have Rhodes Road right next to it, purchased the property, the mill, and he created or turned it into Sharon Box Company that ran for many, many years by his sons, Norman and Willard Rhodes. and eventually it was owned by Kevin Geller, and it was Barney and Carrie Lumber Company. About 10 years ago, it was very tastefully turned into condominiums. So this farmhouse is long gone. However, you can see foundation of it at the sanctuary at Moose Hill, Audubon. It is on the end of Billings Court. So if you park at Audubon, you go across the road and you walk on the main path. That is called Billings Court. And on the end of it, there is a barn on the right side, and on the left, this property used to be. It was called Billings Messenger Homestead. Leonard Lorenzo Billings was a Civil War veteran. So I'm confident to say that many of you recognize this property, which is on the corner of Ames and East Street. It is a beautiful stone building built from granite from Moyles Quarry, which is now part of Borderland State Park. And basically the same granite was used for building a viaduct, Canton Viaduct. So this picture is again about 120 years old. You can see a little bit of snow there. That was winter time. We are thrilled that this property, or the house, made it on National Register of Historic Places. However, the property did not. So it was about 6 acres, and maybe 15 years ago it was chopped up in smaller homes, smaller properties, and new homes were built. However, we still have the house, and it's beautifully preserved. I believe there are 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. It is called Stone Home, and it was built in 1849, and the owner was Lothrop, H.A. Lothrop, and he owned Lothrop Knife Works Shop, which was on Ames Street, and you can see the workers' buildings right on Ames Street. On the top of the pond, it's a reddish building with 4 entrances. So that's where the workers used to live. So, however, we are very pleased that this building is preserved, and it's pretty incredible. So you can see the house and the carriage house on the right side. So imagine you are at Sharon Country Club on East Street, which is right across the Stone Home Mansion in 1920s. So this was the original clubhouse. By the way, it was O'Leary farm, and then the farmer allowed to build a golf course with just 9 holes, and eventually it took off and it grew into a bigger golf course. Oh, by the way, it's a lady in the car with the dog. Oh, that's cute. You can also see the posts for the porch are basically made, I guess, from cedar trees. That's pretty cool. Another part of the golf course was 2 clay tennis courts that were used quite a lot. So the current clubhouse at the golf course is basically the third one. So this property is long gone, and it was known as Lakeshore Home, and it was on Lakeview Street on Lake Massapoque. In late 1800s and early 1900s, it was known as the Boston Lakeshore Home for Boys. The Reverend J. Deming was in charge of it, and he also operated a summer camp where boys from the inner city slept in tents right on the edge of Lake Massapoque. In later years, the camp was known as Kiddie Camp, then Horizons for Youth, and now we know it as Everwood Camp. By the way, the property is owned by town and it's leased. So this is the shoreline close to the house. It was actually at one point also called Boston Seashore Home for Boys. So this was called Desmonds Wharf. Okay, and the last picture I will include in this video is Desmonds Wharf from 1930s. So this is where our current Memorial Beach is. It's the northeastern part of Lake Massapoque, more the corner towards the back entrance. The photograph is from 1930s. Dennis Desmond owned the large rambling house and barns that you can see in the background. And basically the little road you can see kind of on the left side, you see white. So that was the original Beach Street. So Mr. Desmond rented boats and sold refreshments. Later on, Scott's family owned the refreshment stand, more to the left side. The old house was destroyed by fire in 1950s. The one more thing I would like to point out is sort of in the middle to the right side, there's a little wooden structure. That is actually the original Flume house. Now we have beautiful stone one that was dedicated to Clifford Downer. All right, I hope you enjoyed this and thank you for watching Sharon Local History.